And now session number 5, State of Art, session 2, diabetes in special groups. So please, I need from the chairpersons to come on the stage. Professor Bassem Zarif, Professor Ines Shartour, General Dr. Khaled Shukri, Professor Louis Gardet, Professor Muhammad Nasr. Also please, Professor Muhammad Sanzir.
Good afternoon. Hope all of you enjoyed the lunch, and I think one of our chairs is still having lunch. But I think it's time to start. It's my pleasure to present the first speaker, Professor Nam H Cho, the IDF president. He will tell us about risk of diabetes in older population, the way forward. Please, Professor.
Thank you very much. As our chair introduced, my topic will be risk of diabetes in older population and the way forward. You have seen this slide when I gave a lecture this morning, comparing the rates from 2015 and 2017. Within 2 years, there are 10 million more people diagnosed with the diabetes. But striking news is about 80% of these individuals are age 65 and older. When I received this report from our team in IDF office, I said, no, I don't believe it. Go back to the data, recalculate it, and they come back saying, yes, it is 80%. So, we have seen this slide from our previous speakers, that diabetes is increasing all over the world. Most numbers are coming from Western Pacific region down here. Percentage-wise, about 15% increment that we'll be expecting in the future. But number-wise, the Asia covers about 64% of the total diabetes. Asia means Western Pacific, Southeast Asia, also Middle East. So the tsunamis or diabetes are increasing in the Asian population. Like I said in previous slide, 8 million more adults above 65 years old with diabetes than 2015. And that number will increase when you see this year's atlas. But if you look at your own country, you're in a high figure of diabetes in older population. So why aging and type 2 diabetes? I brought the number of people with 65 and older in global level. Starting in 2008, we were less than 8%. But if you look at the figure underneath, that number is increasing more than 9% by 2018. So numbers increasing gradually, but rapidly in all over the world. So a lot of developing countries have become a more of an aging society rather than a young society. So I'd like to share one of very important slide is coming from my own country. This is medical expenses in age greater than 65 years in Korea. If you look at the number of people aged 65 and older, 2008 it was about 11% in Korea. They spend $10.74 billion per year for medical care. But if you look at the figure in 2018, the number of population grew to 13%. Only 3% increase. But look at the amount they spent. $21.92 billion per year, which is about almost 40% of the total medical expenses in Korea. You know, Korea has a universal health insurance system, and 65 older, about 13% are spending more than 40%. That number is increasing rapidly. And for diabetes, they are spending about 10% of their total expenditures, $2 billion per year. So we are expecting the same kind of pattern in all over the world, and it is worse in high-income countries. If you look at the figures that was reported from IDF, again, 8 million people above 65 out of 10 million. And that accounted, 2017, was about 127 million people aged 65 from the total diabetes. And that number will be increasing 100% by 2045. So compared to the younger, I shouldn't say younger, but 65 and younger, increasing 34%. So it's threefold more people with age 65 will develop diabetes in the future. Similarly, based on our cohort study, this is type 2 diabetes changing pattern after 10 years of follow-up. Korean government gave me more than $10 million to look into the diabetes issues in older population, and I've been following them for last 20 years, exactly 18 years. And if you look at the male and female distribution, in 10 years, the prevalence increased from 18.4% to 33.4%. And then almost a little less in female, increased from 19.2% to 28%, which is about 46% increment in female. So there's a rapid increment in male than in female population. So we observe that diabetes increasing fast rate in older population. So just being an old population, old age group, see how high risk of developing diabetes. Controlling all other factors, gender, living in an urban area, smoking, family history, waist circumference, all that, despite of all that, being old itself, there are twofold risk for developing diabetes. So we don't know what is there. There's something with this older generation. So we started tackling what is related to this aging process. So we applied same principle, breaking down with 65 older and less. So this is risk factor for age 65 and less. Look at the factors. In age 65 and less population developing diabetes, living in an urban area, they are high risk, 2.3 times high risk for developing. So sedentary lifestyle, more fast food and junk food, lack of exercise, all of that is all related to in younger people to developing diabetes. Look at the hypertension. Look at the figures here. Pre-hypertension, 1.33 times the risk for developing diabetes. Hypertension, 1.46. Been having a family history of diabetes, 1.54. Let me just focus on this thing. But another thing is waist circumference, TG, ALT, all that things related to the related factors for developing diabetes. Now let's look at the people greater than 65. Look at the figure here. Now that is rural instead of urban area. Been living in rural area, they are 1.33 times risk. Different risk factor. Look at the hypertension. Do you remember previous slide? What was the pre-hypertension? 1.3. Being a hypertension, 1.4. But look at it in older population. Same risk factors apply to older population, but magnitude is twofold higher. So if you see the patient with a hypertension that's 65 and older, catch their glucose level, they are higher risk for developing diabetes. So even the same risk factor applies, and their impact is different. Look at the smoking status. It was not risk factor for 65 younger, but it is the risk factor for 65 and older. Look at the family history of diabetes. 0.49, they are protective factor. What is that mean? That means people who have diabetes, family members have diabetes, they develop diabetes before 65. That's why you're seeing a negative impact in older population. Another issue that we catch in this study was that ASM, divided by weight, this is, you all know, sarcopenia. So instead of waist circumference in older population, sarcopenia is a risk factor for developing diabetes. In addition to all these factors, we try to investigate further and deeper, try to see what are the factors, and then one of the key things with older population is mobility, physical activity. So we look at what is the cutoff age for decreasing their physical activity level. So we use something already known as PPDP questionnaire, and then check that when they start to decrease the physical activity. As you could see, until 70s, their physical activity is very similar, but after that, it's a significant decrease in both genders. So based on this, we also look at it, see how we could correlate their physical decrease of physical activity and glucose metabolism. So we conduct a lot of studies, look at their physical activity level using a flamingo. You all know what's a flamingo test, stand up with one foot, and then hand grip strength, and then as you could see as a TDD presented in previous slide, gait speed. You walk 4 meters and check their timing, and then fat percent. As you could see, in flamingo, those individuals, 65 and older, compared to the even 65 normal, and then 65 less but have a diabetes, their level, flamingo level, is significantly decreased compared to the younger, or they don't have a diabetes but 65 and older. So there's a clear evidence that individuals who develop diabetes, aged individuals, their physical activity is decreased. And hand grip, same thing. The individual with the 65 and older have a diabetes, or the hand grip strengths are less than the other three groups. Gait speed, again, the older group is lower, and the fat percent is higher, those individuals. So based on this, we catch there's something. Why fat percent is gaining here? So we look at this hypothesis. Aging process, we all know they lose muscle, then some people experience sarcopenia, then there's a physical disability. And we observe that by the gait test and flamingo test and all that. But individuals who might lose the strength and the lean mass, but this lean mass is replaced by fat mass. You have probably seen some of the older individual who lose weight, lose the strength, but stay thin. But some older people lose weight, strength, but they gain weight. So this is what we call sarcopenic obesity. Then we observe the insulin resistance from these individuals, and we start observe the high percent of the metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. So based on this, we try to find the indices which can test sarcopenia and sarcopenia obesity, and which is different when you look at the Asian compared to Caucasian. So we come out with various indices, and the best thing we find out, the one I showed in the previous slide, ASM divided weight. This is a perpendicular skeletal muscle mass. We're using a DEXA scan to get these values. And instead of going into details, we measured sarcopenia and sarcopenia obesity in the individuals with using this equation. And this is what we found. Slide look very busy, but very straightforward. We divide by prediabetes. This is the one I mentioned this morning, benign diabetes group, and we split age group 60 and younger. Same thing with the individual with type 2 diabetes, and we split individual 60 and older. And with this is indices we use SMI, and this is another one that we found best correlated with the sarcopenia and sarcopenia obesity. Look at the one in circles. 60 and older who develop diabetes, being obesity, the risk of developing diabetes is 1.44. But look at another thing, older people, individual with the sarcopenia, their risk is increased. Their risk is much better than obesity. So risk is 1.65. But individual who presented both sarcopenia and obesity, their risk is 2.2. So sarcopenia and obesity is one of the key risk factors for older people who develop diabetes. Of course, this is prospective study. It's not a longitudinal, it's not a retrospective study, so their risk factor hasn't been changed. In addition to that, we wanted to see what kind of glucose metabolism that we could observe or could find related to the aging process. All of us think that when we get older, we lose all the activities. We lose insulin secretion, and so on and so on. So we expect the same thing. But we started looking into these people who finding different relationships. One of the things is this is very busy slide, but straightforward. Green dot is individual who is normal. You follow this case. Another green dot. Almost 20 years later, they still stay normal. We find one green to yellow, they convert it to the benign diabetes. This is normal to diabetes. There's IGT to diabetes. IGT converts to the normal. You probably started catching the individual from IGT going normal, their insulinogenic, insulin secretion is increased. So a similar pattern, based on this, we call something vector plot. You get all this information, and mathematically we come up with a plot showing this is normal individual NGT, how they increase their insulin resistance level and insulin secretion level. And you could see here in individuals who become diabetes, their insulin resistance was very high, and then they continue to stay. And then insulin secretion level is low and continue to stay low. So based on that, we performed the analysis. This is baseline examination. This is first time they come to the clinic. And we looked at their levels by normal and individual with diabetes. Individual who developed diabetes, you could see the insulin secretion reduced to 55% compared to the individual who were normal. Same thing, insulin sensitivity decreased about 18% compared to the person who stayed normal. So based on this phenomena, we try to look at the figures in prospective nature. This is cross-sectional, dividing two groups, individual with diabetes, individual with normal data. And we found there's a relationship with the insulin secretion and insulin sensitivity. So in prospective nature, we analyzed in cutting off at 10 years span. And it is what two parties, the individual who stayed normal, and right two graph is the individual who converted to diabetes. Look at the individual who stayed normal. Insulinogenic index, insulin secretion was 6.9, but during the follow-up period, 10 years, we found that increased to 11.7, 70% increment. But look at the insulin sensitivity. They have more insulin resistance, so insulin sensitivity decreased from 10.1 to 7.4. So in normal, despite of their reducing the insulin sensitivity, it was compensated producing more insulin, and they stayed normal. But individuals who become a diabetes, look at the insulinogenic index. Increased from 5.8 to 8.8, 52% increment, which is compared to the 70%, it's lower. But look at the actual value. They increased 11.7, but they only increased to the 8.8. Okay? And look at the insulin sensitivity. Decreased from 8.4 to 3, which is 280% decrement in insulin sensitivity, whereas only 52% insulin secretion. So individuals who become a diabetes definitely showing significant reduction in insulin sensitivity and then low production in insulin. So with that in mind, we compared breaking down into the four groups, like the individual who showed high insulin secretion and then high insulin sensitivity compared to the low insulin secretion and higher insulin resistance group. You could see there are 8-fold increase for developing diabetes. So even at early stage, these individuals who become a diabetes in later age group showing the depletion in insulin sensitivity and lower insulin secretion. Furthermore, we also look at the complication status, diabetes retinopathy, CKD, and the CVD, and look at the individuals 65 and older compared to other groups. They are significantly high in complication as well. And with that, dementia, we also looked at it based on the questionnaire. We compared the 4 groups, 65 and less and normal, greater 65 and normal, and 65 and less but have diabetes, 65 and greater and have diabetes. You could see whether you're comparing with the 65 older and young group, their risk is about 10, 11 times greater for developing dementia as well in individuals who have diabetes, whether young or old. So older people has a higher risk for developing complication, including dementia. So with that in summary and conclusion, I showed this thing in this morning. Diabetes is impacting every human life, whether it's young and old, but it is in age group, different risk factors are associated with a different magnitude for the developing diabetes. We need continued monitoring and screening programs in the aging population to stop diabetes tsunami. And of course, IDF World Congress is coming very close, about 40 days away. It'll be in Busan, so I'm inviting all of you to come to enjoy the city. This is the second largest city in Korea, and this is the only city left in Korea during the Korean War. We call it Korean conflict. And if you miss it, this is selected as a top 10 city in the world to visit in your life. So thank you very much.